Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started.
Have you ever had that moment? Late in the day, maybe after work, you go to pour that drink, beer, wine, whatever it is for you, and just for a second, you pause. You think, when did this become so automatic? When did it go from being like a nice treat to just a reflex? It's usually not about some big dramatic night out, right? For most people I talk to, it's quieter than that. It's this almost subtle realization that the casual ritual you started, the one meant for unwinding, has somehow become, constant, normal, maybe even a little too necessary just to switch off the noise from the day. Look, this conversation today isn't about judging anyone. Not at all. It's about getting clear. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the research, the psychology behind how that shift happens, how normal drinking can quietly, kind of sneakily morph from just relaxing into feeling like something you have to do. And we'll touch on the brain science, why that daily habit sometimes stops actually helping and starts, frankly, draining you instead. I've been digging into a lot of material on this habit change, neurological function, the works. As the author of No Willpower Required, this stuff fascinates me. It's all about understanding the mechanics, not just relying on brute force. What's really interesting in the findings, especially looking at how younger generations think about it, is the reframing. We're often not talking about old school problem drinking narratives. Now, it's frequently wrapped up in a self-care language. It's positioned as the necessary way to cope with intense work stress, or it even becomes part of an identity, right? All those wine o'clock memes. So the big question the research keeps circling back to is this: when does that ritual, that accepted stress reliever, stop genuinely helping you manage stress and start just sort of numbing things? When does it cross the line from unwinding to just switching off? Okay, let's unpack how this creep actually works. How does that one single glass, after a hard day, slowly start to rewire things? The first mechanism is really about the habit loop. You can almost call it Pavlov's Pinot. Sounds a bit glib, maybe, but it captures it. It starts innocently enough. Really tough day, stressful meeting, you get home, you pour that drink, and boom, you get relief. It's temporary, sure, but it's immediate. Your brain, which is always looking for the easiest path, the most efficient way to solve a problem, immediately makes a connection. Substance equals relaxation. It becomes a shortcut, the easiest shortcut. So over time, the trigger, which might initially be just major stress or maybe just the clock hitting 6 p.m., doesn't just make you think about a drink. It starts to trigger an actual physical urge, a craving. The brain has learned, cue, stress, time of day, equals guaranteed chemical relief. It's classic conditioning. The bell rings and the response becomes automatic. And that makes it incredibly tough to interrupt because it feels wired into your routine. So that's the psychological side, the conditioning. But then there's the physical adaptation piece, which is just as important. Let's call it the tolerance trap. While your brain is getting conditioned, your body is adapting physiologically at the same time. It's incredibly efficient at adapting. That one drink that used to perfectly hit the spot, the one that gave you that feeling and satisfied the conditioned craving, well, eventually it just doesn't produce the same effect. Your system gets used to it. It needs a bit more of the substance just to get back to that original baseline feeling of calm or relaxed. And what's a typical human response? Predictable, right? You pour a little more. Or maybe you have a second one. You're not necessarily trying to get drunk, you're just trying to feel normal again, trying to reach the level of relaxation that the first drink used to provide. And this physical tolerance is sneaky. It makes cutting back, even just a little, feel disproportionately difficult. You feel real resistance, maybe some irritability or anxiety when you try to moderate. And people often mistake that struggle. They think it's lack of willpower, a personal failing. But often, it's simply your body's adaptive physiology pushing back. It's learned to expect a certain level. Okay, so we've got psychological conditioning, we've got physiological adaptation. What's the cost? This leads to something I call the emotional numbing, or maybe the flattening effect. This is where the original goal stress relief kind of backfires. Because alcohol is, it's a depressant. It's good at dulling the sharp edges, the stress, the anxiety, the mental noise. That's why we reach for it. But the research is pretty clear. It doesn't really pick and choose what it dulls. When drinking becomes a regular routine thing, it starts to dull the good stuff too. Joy, excitement, genuine connection, feeling truly present in a moment. Your emotional range can start to flatten out. You might feel this sort of baseline calm, yeah, but it's muted. You feel less connected, maybe less vibrant. Life just feels a little less colorful. You trade the potential for high highs and real clarity for this consistent chemically induced middle ground. Relaxed, maybe, but less alive. So that brings us to the crucial question. How do you know? How do you know when your normal routine has tipped over from serving you to actually hurting you? If it's not just about counting drinks, what's the real signal? What the findings consistently point to is that the true signal isn't necessarily the quantity. It's the intent. It's the energy around the habit. Ask yourself, are you drinking to fix a mood, to avoid silence or difficult thoughts, to escape a feeling you don't want to deal with? If the answer is yes, that's a strong indicator the ritual isn't about casual relaxation anymore. It's become more of a coping mechanism, a way to bypass actually processing your emotions. Using alcohol like emotional armor, that's a big red flag. And beyond the psychological intent, your body gives you some pretty clear physical signs too. Undeniable signals that maybe a reset is needed. Are you waking up feeling tired, even after just a couple of drinks? A bit anxious for no real reason? Mentally foggy? That grogginess isn't just needing more sleep. It's often a sign of metabolic stress, of depletion. Your body is setting up a flare. Okay, so identifying the patterns, step one. What about solutions? How do we rebalance things? The focus here isn't necessarily pushing everyone towards lifelong sobriety, unless that's your goal. It's about supporting your body and brain while you work on rewiring the habit loop. It's about restoring clarity and balance so that making intentional choices becomes easier, less of a battle. And to do that effectively, you often need to address the physical toll first. Even moderate regular alcohol consumption puts a strain on your system, especially your liver and brain. It depletes key nutrients. The research highlights a couple of specific compounds that seem particularly helpful for supporting recovery and regaining mental clarity during this process. Let's start with one that helps your liver deal with the cleanup. N-acetyl-L-cysteine, NACC. NAC is pretty foundational here. It's an amino acid. When your body processes alcohol, it creates toxic byproducts. Acetaldehyde is the main one. That stuff makes you feel awful, contributes to hangovers, brain fog, anxiety. NAC directly helps your liver detoxify those nasty byproducts. But maybe even more importantly, NAC is a precursor to glutathione. Think of glutathione as your body's master antioxidant. It's crucial for cellular repair, reducing inflammation. Alcohol use really drains your glutathione stores. So supporting your NAC intake helps replenish that glutathione pool. This is essential for clearing the oxidative stress caused by alcohol and, critically, helping restore that feeling of mental clarity. It helps clear the fog, literally. So NAC helps with the immediate detox and antioxidant support. But what about that persistent energy drain? That generalized brain fog that can linger? That's where the second compound comes in. Vitamin B1, specifically a form called Benfotiamine, which is why B1. Thiamine, vitamin B1, is absolutely vital for your brain to produce energy. Your brain cells need it to function properly. Alcohol is notorious for depleting thiamine. It messes with your body's ability to absorb and use it effectively. When your thiamine levels drop, your brain literally struggles to make enough energy. This leads directly to those common symptoms. The mental fogginess, feeling tired for no reason, moodiness, that quiet anxiety even after the alcohol is gone. It's your brain running low on fuel. Now, why benfotiamine specifically? Regular B1 supplements are water-soluble. They don't cross into the brain all that well. Benfotiamine is different. It's a synthetic, fat-soluble form of thiamine. Research shows it has much higher bioavailability and gets into the brain much more effectively. It can deliver that crucial thiamine right where it's needed to help restore normal brain energy production. This helps combat the fatigue and fogginess and supports regaining your natural mental sharpness. It's about targeting the specific deficiency alcohol creates. So, putting all this together, this deep dive is really for you, the listener, if any of this resonates. If you started questioning those automatic habits, if you're feeling a persistent fog or lack of energy, even after what seems like moderate evenings, if you're thinking about moderation, or maybe just realizing you want your evenings and your mornings back, clear, calm, and fully present. Understanding the mechanics, the conditioning, the tolerance, the depletion, shows you it's not about being weak-willed. It's metabolic. It's psychological. It's how our systems adapt. And maybe the final thought to leave you with, something that really stood out from the research, is this. Sometimes the biggest wake-up call isn't hitting some dramatic rock bottom. Sometimes a real wake-up call is just a quiet, persistent feeling that your current normal just doesn't feel that good anymore. You know you're capable of more focus, more energy, more presence. You feel like you're operating slightly below your best. That realization, that's not failure. That's awareness kicking in. It's your body and brain signaling that it's time for a change, time for some intentional support, maybe just time for more attention. Understanding is the first step. Making that intentional shift, supporting your system. That's how you start taking back your focus, your calm, and your energy. One clear evening at a time. Go get that clarity.
That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor. Leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.